Hi, everyone. So we begin our very first week after the horrible loss to Washington. Horrible, horrible. We begin this week with talking about data types, and then we move on to OOP or object-oriented programming concepts like abstraction and polymorphism. I just wanted to comment that some of you are like, wait a minute, I thought you just spent the last couple of weeks preaching that we did not need to know OOP concepts? And the answer is yes. The ultimate goal of Python is to be elegant and to reduce the amount of typing that we have to do and to not be Java and C++. Meaning to be productive, you don't need to do things like creating classes and things like that. It's all about basically the biggest bridge between, I'm going to say, pseudo-text or pseudocode to the actual code. But lately, I've been hearing a lot of bullshit out there, a lot of nonsense about Python not being OOP, and thus technically not being a real language. And I'm here to tell you that Python is in fact the Swiss Army knife of programming languages. Now, people actually, because Java has so many APIs attached to it, they call Java the Swiss Army knife. And I'm here to tell you it's actually Python that is the be-all, do-all, do everything, except the difference is it does it as if it's been there already. Yes, you can be productive, and you can be super creative with just a few keystrokes. For example, there is an API called Pyvin. So by API, I just mean it's a package you can import, like import math or import random or something like that, in which with just a few lines of code, you can in fact print out the make and model of a car and year of a car just by typing in the VIN number. Pretty cool stuff. Now, obviously, there are so many apps on Google online that we can just put it in, like bluebook.com, edmunds.com, but it's nice to know you can integrate this API in your personal creation. So the whole point of it is that you can bring that into your application and you can surround it with more tools and you can make that experience your own. You can do other stuff with things like matplotlib and nmap. Yes, you can do the same with Java, that's true, but Python, as I said, is just much more elegant. With Python, it kind of shows that we've been there, done that already. Speaking of Python, this week we also get into data types, as I just mentioned. And you'll notice that we don't have to do boring things like declaring data types as if this was some quote-unquote typed language like Java is. Now, speaking of Java, when we get into OOP, the whole point is to show that, hey, Python can do that too. So this shows that when, for example, we use strings, we are in fact utilizing OOP, object-oriented programming concepts. Anyways, we have fallen, just as an aside about the course as I am managing it, we have fallen comfortably in the 2-week module thing. And that's kind of good. It does give you a full 2 weeks to do things like watching the videos and doing the assignments, which are quite lengthy. I also posted a discussion question to keep everyone engaged for that first week. See, when you have 2 weeks, bad habits can come into fruition, and we want to avoid those habits. Things like not engaging with the course for that first week and a half or so, and then once that first week and a half passes, it's like, I have all these videos to watch and I have all these problems to do, rather than taking the 2 weeks and spending the first week really watching the videos, really understanding them. And if you have questions, maybe Googling it or going to, books such as, some of the books I had mentioned. There's a couple books in the syllabus like Crash Course for Python and things like that, and then doing the problems. So there is such a disparity in quality of the last assignment. Some people really put out a great effort. I mean, there was one student, it was a female, and I commented to her, like, her output to me was almost like a work of art. It was just unbelievable. Others, I could really tell that you kind of just lockstep through it, just got through it, and you gave me the bare minimum. Okay, and I understand when you have 2 weeks. You want to, and sometimes you're kind of geared through that because you do have other classes, and sometimes you get engrossed in other projects. So I want to avoid that. I did notice some of you didn't give it their quote unquote all, so I did deduct a few points here and there because although, yeah, you technically did follow the instructions, I noticed the quality in some of your hand-ins just wasn't there, especially for question 6. For those of you know who you are. So having the first part of the discussion due the week of, or due on February 2nd, and then the second part due on the 9th, it really pushes everyone to be engaged in both weeks. So welcome to week 4 and happy learning.